Hi, I'm Charlie Miller, Conservation and Education Coordinator at Hazel Hill Wood. And today I'm bringing you some nature news from the wood. So it's the 2nd of June 2020, and we're going to look at butterflies and moths and their habitats. So here's a great habitat for butterflies, a glade, and this is in the northwest frontier of Hazel Hill Wood. You may have noticed that butterflies and moths tend to prefer open areas where there's plenty of sunlight, and you don't often find them in the shade of the trees, so you don't generally find them in the woodland itself, but the spaces in between. And this is because there are lots of wildflowers, more wildflowers in open areas, and they're important for adult butterflies and moths to feed on, but also the caterpillars or larvae to feed on as well. So if you've been to Hazel Hill Wood before, then you probably recognise this area. One of my favourite parts of the wood is the pond, and some butterflies and moths like it around here. And one really interesting moth that likes it here is called the brown China mark moth. It's amazingly patterned as an adult, but interestingly, the larvae or the caterpillars, larvae is just a posh word for caterpillar, or the scientific name. The larvae actually live underwater in the pond, which is quite fascinating, I think. So this is one of the rides within the wood. Rides are linear open spaces, generally with a path in the middle, which make them nice to walk along. And so to keep the open spaces, which are so important for butterflies and moths, plus many more insects and things, to keep them in good condition, we manage them using a combination of power tools and hand tools. So power tools like the brush cutter, hand tools like the rake in this photo. And it's important that we rake up the cuttings. And this just helps to ensure that there are lots of different wildflowers coexisting on the rides, providing plenty of food for the butterflies and moths and their caterpillars. And another open space which is really important at the wood is the meadow. So not everyone realises that the meadow that everyone comes past on the right hand side as you enter the wood down the track, that is part of Hazel Hill Wood, and the management there involves sheep grazing over the winter. This is me with the sheep, and a hay cut in the summer. So here's the meadow after it's been cut for hay with the big bales of hay, and this regime of management is really important to maintain the wildflower diversity that supports the butterflies and moths. So now we're going to have a look at the butterflies of Hazel Hill Wood, some of the butterflies of Hazel Hill Wood. So all the photos are from the wood, and this is a male common blue butterfly, and it is just beautiful, isn't it? Next we're going to have a look at the female. And as with many butterflies and also birds as well, the female is much more boring looking than the male. So quite brown compared to the blue. So it's called a common blue, but it is brown. And so this is the underwing of the common blue butterfly. It's quite pretty. And so there are quite a few blue species of blue butterfly, and some of them you need to, or for a lot of them, you need to get a view of the underside of the wings to confirm the species. And this one here is feeding on bird's foot trefoil, which is also the larval food plant. So many butterfly and moth caterpillars are very fussy about what plants they'll eat, and bird's foot trefoil is one of the common blue caterpillars' food plants. And here we have a brimstone butterfly. So as well as colour, you sometimes need to look at the size of the butterfly, any markings like the spot here, and also the shape. So the brimstone has a really interesting wing shape with the points on all the wings. This is one of the few butterflies that actually doesn't mind being in the shade too much, and it's called the speckled wood, so it's quite a fitting name. And the final butterfly I'm going to show you before we move on to moths is the peacock. and these eye spots, which are part of its pattern, are actually a defense mechanism. So the theory is that they make it look like there's something bigger to deter potential predators from trying to eat them. So this is the old lady moth. It's got a great name. A lot of moths were discovered by Victorians, and they started researching them and naming them. So yeah, there are lots of interesting names. They often rest in sheds, and they're quite a big moth, and they can give you a fright when they fly out if you disturb them. But I really like these moths. This is one of my favourite moths, and this is the white ermine moth. And I think it's a really good example of a moth that is not just brown and boring. Even the brown and boring ones are quite interestingly patterned quite often. But yeah, there are quite a few that are beautiful, colourful, and maybe surprisingly furry if you didn't realise. Yeah, so the head of the white ermine is quite furry. Most moths fly at night, but there are some exceptions that fly in the day, and this is one of them, the Burnet companion. And this one has yellow hind wings, so they're the second pair of wings that are hidden in this photo. So this moth is in an egg box, which might look a bit unusual. So egg boxes are used by moth enthusiasts in light traps. So you may have seen or heard of people using bright lights to attract moths at night, overnight, and then in the morning they go through them, and this includes me, so I'm one of those people, and they go through them and identify the species and then submit that, and that scientific data contributes to national data sets and also international. So it's really important scientific data, and helps us to monitor any changes. So butterflies and moths are very sensitive to changes in weather and climate and habitat. So changes in their abundance and the time of year that they come out can help to indicate that things are changing for better or for worse. This is our final moth for today, and this is the speckled yellow, another day flying moth which is easily mistaken for a butterfly. And there have been lots of these around the wood for the last month or so. The numbers are just dropping off now. Yeah, so most butterflies and moths have a flight period in their adult form of just a few weeks or months, with some exceptions. But yeah, the prime time for this speckled yellow moth has gone now. So we'll have to wait till next year to see big numbers of them again. So we'll finish our journey with the butterflies and moths of Hazel Hill Wood here. Now, if you know the wood, then the heartwood is on the right with the campfire circle. The dark wood is on the left. And this ride, if you followed the path, winding path down and took a left, you'd get to the pond. And the accommodation buildings are just behind you. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hope you can take away some new knowledge and maybe an appreciation of moths and butterflies. And we hope to be able to welcome you back to the woods soon. Please keep an eye on our website, hazelhill.org.uk, and you can subscribe to the newsletter there, so through the Connect with Us tab. So yeah, thank you for listening.